Taiji, Japan. From September to May, the town hunts and kills over 20,000 dolphins. The horrifying images you are about to see took place in what is known in Taiji as the Cove. The Cove is a small area in the harbor of Taiji where the slaughter takes place. The red in the water is the blood of the hundreds of dolphins slaughtered there each day. Despite high levels of toxic mercury, the meat is harvested, packaged, and sold in town supermarkets. The female bottlenose dolphins are captured and sold to marine mammal trainers where they are used in aquariums all over the world. Dolphins are accustomed to swimming thousands of miles a day in the wild, but in zoos and aquariums they are restricted to a tiny body of water. Keeping dolphins in such a small area is the equivalent to keeping a prison inmate in solitary confinement. Since dolphins are such social animals and travel in pods with hundreds of other individuals, they go insane from lack of socialization. Living in aquarium tanks also causes various other health problems such as collapsed dorsal fins, missing, cracked, or broken teeth, and the loud music, acoustics in the tank, and screaming spectators can cause physical and mental trauma. Many show dolphins kill themselves in captivity due to mental and emotional stress. These animals rarely reproduce in captivity, so the parks have to purchase new ones. From Taiji. To get a better idea of the impact of the dolphin hunt, we spoke to Alex Shopov.
My name is Alex Shopov. I'm a member of the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society. I was a cove guardian in Taiji, Japan earlier this year, where for 2 weeks I reported on and witnessed the dolphin slaughter that goes on every year in Taiji.
There are three main issues with the dolphin hunt. We asked Alex to explain them.
The dolphin slaughter is an issue that affects people on multiple levels. The Japanese, for the most part, do not know that this is going on. It's the work of really 26 people in one small fishing village in a remote southern part of Japan. Speaking to people in Tokyo and in Osaka, no one really had heard about this. They don't know that this is happening, but all of them are affected by it, whether they know it or not. There's a major public health risk that people seem to sweep underneath the rug, in that dolphins are apex predators. They are at the top of the food chain in the ocean, and our oceans are full of so many contaminants, heavy metals, contaminants of all types, industrial chemicals that get into the tissues of fish. The fishermen in Taiji go on to eat some of the dolphin that they catch, and what we are now seeing are instances of heavy metal and mercury poisoning in the people that live in these communities. The argument is made that the dolphin hunt in Taiji is meant to be used as a subsistence hunt, that it's a traditional form of food that they've been eating for hundreds of years. The evidence, the historical evidence, directly contradicts that. There is no market at all for dolphin meat in Japan, so very often they are forced to relabel it as something else, very often tuna or even other species of whale.
The more expensive whale meat that is sold in grocery stores is actually mislabeled dolphin meat. The government essentially is poisoning the citizens and they don't even realize it.
So little of it is sold, they have hundreds of tons of this stuff just sitting in freezer containers, so they've started actually serving it to school children in their school lunches, very often without their parents' knowledge. They're told that it's something else. And so what we're starting to see now is Japanese school children suffering from developmental delays, not unlike what children in the United States suffered before lead paint was banned here. And so children who are still in this critical period of neural development are suffering this contamination that is actually stunting their development into adolescents and adults. Dolphins are an interesting case. Dolphins have a brain as large as ours, as complex as ours. They even have a small spindle structure that we do not have, that some cetacean biologists believe has to do with a higher level of emotional processing than what humans are capable of. And so what we know, what we've seen, is that dolphins communicate with each other by name. They have a very unique, distinct set of whistles and chirps that they use to refer to one another. They've been seen formulating plans in advance. They've been seen just conducting very high-level behavior. There's no question these are not dumb animals. These are highly intelligent, socially complex life forms. Dolphins really, I think an argument could be made that they are the smartest life form on the planet, even more so than us. This is a species, all the different species of dolphin, that really deserves to be treated as a non-human person. They are highly intelligent, they are highly socially complex, and what I saw in Taiji was that as the dolphins were being taken in for slaughter, they knew exactly what was going on. Occasionally pods would be separated from one another. If a pod was brought in that was larger than the quota, half of the pod would be separated for later release. What I saw was members that were slated for release spy hopping, sticking their heads up out of the water to actually see what was going on the other side of the net in the killing area. They knew what was happening. They saw other dolphins trapped in the nets and they swam over and they tried to help them. They tried to get them out. This was not a herd of mindless creatures being brought into slaughter like cattle at a ranch. These were life forms that were aware of their surroundings. They knew what was coming. They knew what was happening. And you could see the fear and the panic in them. This was not an instinctive response.
The following photos show a pod of white-sided dolphins being separated. Half of these dolphins were released back into the wild. The other half was viciously slaughtered. Boats are used to create a wall of sound to corral dolphins into the holding area before they are brought in to be slaughtered. These areas are roped off with nets. Dolphins who try to escape get trapped in the nets, like this one shown here, and many drown. The yellow tarp shown here is hung up to prevent dolphins from throwing themselves onto the rocks and killing themselves before they are savagely stabbed to death in the killing area. The divers in this picture are actually fishermen who are herding the dolphins into the killing area. As you can see, these men aren't at all concerned for the animal's well-being. The dolphins in the boat are dead, and they are being taken to the butcher shop where they will be chopped up and transported to supermarkets all over the country.
When you take an apex predator like a dolphin or a bluefin tuna out of the ocean, you start to set off a chain of events that will destabilize the entire ecosystem in that part of the sea. And knowing how dependent we are on the oceans, there's an old saying that if the oceans die, we all die. All life on land depends on life in the ocean. You can't have one without the other. And so from a strictly environmental standpoint, things like this can't be allowed to continue because it puts everybody at risk. These are not animals that have been bred just for slaughter. These are animals that are being herded in from the wild and killed, and that will definitely have a destabilizing effect on ecosystems, not just in that area, but around the world. These are creatures that we spend so much time trying to get them to understand what we're saying to them when we make them do stupid tricks like jumping through flaming hoops or coming up to get their picture taken as they kiss someone with their beak. Instead of doing that, we should be spending a little bit more time trying to figure out what they're saying to us, because they do have their own language, they do have their own culture, and if we tried to understand it, we could probably learn something pretty profound about ourselves.
If you think that this issue is one that only affects the Japanese people, you're wrong. We may be thousands of miles apart, but we are united by the very ocean that separates us. To find out what you can do to help, visit seashepherd.org/coveguardians. You can also check out the documentaries The Cove and Blackfish and Rico Berry's Dolphin Project for more information on the dangers of captivity.